All you can eat buffet employees, what is the most disgusting display of gluttony you have witnessed? I was at a buffet where a guy literally just took entire tray of onion rings. Not just all the onion rings but the tray they were in. The manager went over and tried to tell him to return the tray, but before they could remove it the dudes dumped like a liter of gravy on them and they were all fricked. When I was staying in a travel tavern a few years ago, a guy came to the breakfast buffet with his own big plate to get more food. The staff clearly knew he was doing it. Apparently the guy lived there and did it daily. Needless to say, he had the last laugh. Never directly witnessed, but when our local China buffet first opened it was a simple all you can eat. Not 2 weeks later there was a big sign that said 2 hours time limit max. Probably the worst was when I went to Golden Corral that had just opened in my town with my family. A woman on a scooter, she had to be at least 600 pounds, was going around to each section and just piling the food onto about 3 plates. If you know Golden Corral, the baked potatoes are typically sitting near the Mexican nacho stuff. As I picked up the tongs to grab a potato, she zoomed right past me, almost smashing me against the counter, and on all 3 plates, she continuously scooped nacho cheese out and piled it on top of her food. It was all pot roast, steak, pizza, etc., including those butter rolls you get there, all covered in nacho cheese. Don't get me wrong, nacho cheese is a magical thing, but, I'm pretty sure she's a boss and Dead Rising 3. The worst I think that I ever saw was a couple filling up 2 tables with more than 5 plates, filled up with food, in the freaking breakfast, like 9:30 am, and never ate even 30% of it. What happened next was even more stupid. They picked up their filled dishes and went to the surrounding tables to see if anyone wanted any food that was in it. I was at an Asian buffet where they kept the sweet and sour sauce in a hot well. In the booth next to me I hear one old lady say to the other, "Have you tried this sweet and sour soup?" Lo and behold, this woman is eating a bowl of sweet and sour sauce with a spoon. That makes me nauseous. Embassy Suites complimentary breakfast. Woman comes downstairs and with the towels from her room, takes the sterno tray of bacon, and walks back to her room. I am not a confrontational person. If I saw someone pile up their plate to the point of emptying the tray, so be it. Actually taking the tray and leaving the dining area, I don't know what I would say, but I would have to say something. 2 adults piling jelly over their roast meal at a theme park buffet, then proceeding to stick their heads under the ice cream machine and to top it off, scraping their scraps into various different pot plants. I was at a Golden Corral about 30 miles south of Dallas TX when I was in HS. This dude looking like Large Marge's brother grabbed a chair and pulled it up to a buffet line. I reached over to get some pizza and this dude told me I can't have it and that it's all his. He seriously freaked out because I grabbed a couple slices. What surprised me even more was the employees didn't even react to the guy sitting there while patrons had to walk around him to get food. I can't believe staff would allow that. He had to be a contamination risk being under the sneeze guard like that. At the very least they shouldn't allow such a large butthole near the food. Edit. Rogent. Not an employee, but I live in China. Just Google Chinese buffet and go to videos. It is ridiculous. I've seen it firsthand. People will literally shove you out of the way and scoop up food with their bare hands or use their plate as a shovel. Then they won't even eat the stuff at their table. It was a moonless night, dark as pitch, when out of the mist came a beast more stomach than man. He ate all our shrimp and 2 plastic lobsters. He was no man. He was a remorseless eating machine. My friend's brother would pack 2 bread rolls into his cheeks as he was leaving, to eat later, like a buffet ninja chipmunk. Where I live we get loads of Chinese tourists. They come and fill their plates with mounds of food, usually seafood, and not even eat half of what they took. Then we have to throw the rest away. Many all-you-can-eat buffets have a simple rule: you pay for what's left over. Would solve this problem nicely, and it's certainly not just restricted to Chinese tourists. Actual buffet worker here, this is actually not funny, but here goes. It was a couple. She was probably 500 pounds and wheelchair bound. He wasn't that much lighter, but walked, only via using her wheelchair like a walker. They were put at a table that holds 2 chairs on each side. They had the wheelchair on one side, 1 chair on the other. They were slow getting food back to the table, but they each brought 2 mounding plates. like layer after layer, not trying to be rude, but they were each so large, they really couldn't lean in over the plate. Food had a large journey to make from plate to mouth, and things like rice and such were falling off. Yes, they were getting food on themselves. The table next to them demanded to be moved as they were disgusted by the mess, plus their heavy breathing. It was getting late, so we just didn't seat anyone else next to them. Mrs. Simpson, what did you and your husband do after you were ejected from the restaurant? We pretty much went straight home. Mrs. Simpson, you're under oath. We drove around until 3 AM looking for another all-you-can-eat fish restaurant, and when you couldn't find one, we went fishing. Do these sound like the action of a man who had all you can eat? Not so much a disgusting display of gluttony, more of just a disgusting display. I was at an AYCEB and tucking into my meal. I was looking over at the food as I was getting ready for round 2. There was another customer up there filling his plate. Long story short, the guy had too much food on there and some items fell on the floor. Instead of leaving it or even letting a member of staff know, he put his plate down, bent down and picked up the items and put them back in the buffet for someone else to get and eat. Safe to say, round 2 did not happen that day. When you wonder how much of that happens on a daily basis, it's enough to avoid all you can eat places altogether. Fat woman walking with a cane came and grabbed about 6 handfuls of orange chicken. She didn't use the serving spoons. I went to a place called Pizza Ranch. It was just opening for lunch and after being seated I walked up to get a couple slices of pizza and 2 fat women rushed up to the counter and grabbed all 6 pizza trays that had just been put out. They then piled on all the chicken in the heating tray, while those 2 fat B ate their food. The rest of us, about 30 people, had to wait another 25 minutes for something to eat ourselves. Stupid hogs ended up leaving half of the food on the table after they gorged themselves. I've long since vastly improved my diet, but when I was 20, I encountered my first parent unsupervised breakfast buffet at a nice hotel. I loved bacon and had never been allowed more than 3-4 pieces at once, so I loaded my plate with over 60 pieces of bacon. I think it was 63. I proceeded to eat it all. About 2 hours later, the salt hit me in full. My stomach hurt the rest of the day, and even guzzling water for hours didn't ebb the worst dehydration hangover I've ever had, beyond any drinking morning after. Never again. Oh man, never again. Haha, it's such a great rite of passage, going directly against your parents' normal rules about not eating too much of something. I did the same with sweets, skipped dinner, just had Skittles, felt rubbish, then you realize your parents were probably correct all along. Not an employee, just a guy who likes crab legs. Went to get some when I saw they refilled it and some other guy literally took all of them on 2 plates in front of me even after I told him there's other people. I wish I would have stopped him. I sat next to a family, mother, father and 2 sons, not fat, which seemed normal at first. So after 3 plates of food, one of the sons stopped eating and told his parents that he was full. The mother started shouting at the child that she will never bring him to another restaurant ever again if he only eats that little. It wasn't little. So the child starts eating again and forced himself eating a little more. So after another plate, he said again that he could not go further. His mother was still pissed and told him to at least eat 1 more plate with desserts and crap. So he gets himself a dessert and was barely done with it and boom. He throws up like a waterfall, puking all over the table and starts crying. His parents and the other child didn't say nor do anything, so I ran to a waiter to get some napkins. Later, the mother started to address reproaches to his child and I was like WTF. I stopped eating since it was just disgusting how people can act like trash bags if there is an all-you-can-eat buffet. Oh, the smell didn't help either. Later, the mother started arguing with the owner and said that his food was expired and bad. The owner tried to be reasonable but got furious in the end and demanded the family to pay the bill and frick off. I saw someone get a huge bowl of chocolate pudding then ladle it into a Ziploc bag that they carried under their coat. Later they cut a corner off the Ziploc bag and slowly squeeze the pudding into their mouth, sort of like a hamster drinking from a water bottle, and that person was me. I was the guest in this story and not my proudest moment. This happened like 20 years ago, but it is still fresh in my mind like yesterday. A good friend of mine just received like his annual salary as bonus for outstanding performance in his sales job. He had a 6-figure salary. To celebrate, he took like 20 of his close friends to a local Chinese restaurant. This restaurant operates an unlimited menu system. It is not a buffet. They charge per head and you can order unlimited item on the menu. There's 20 of us, so we split into 2 tables of 10s. Someone suggested that we just simple order one of each item on the menu and see which table finished all the food the fastest. Food came and gone. We ate, laughed and competed. It was all good. 2 hours later, it became a marathon. We were struggling and people were dropping off like flies. I had to go to the toilet. I stumped across my friend, the host, who didn't make it to the toilet in time. He was puking right outside the toilet, into a potted plant. What's worse is, he was puking out whole shrimps and big pieces of beef, unchewed. Yeah, we were still talking about that night 20 years on. The restaurant I work at isn't all you can eat by default, but we do have a breakfast buffet on Sunday mornings I'm always there for. Food taken is meant to be eaten on site only, but we have had numerous cases of people helping themselves to ridiculous amounts and putting it into a container or bag to take home. We only get so much stock on Sundays and buttholes like them have been responsible for us running out early, causing later customers to miss out. And at the risk of being downvoted for being intolerant, it's always either Asian people or ridiculously overweight people. I seriously have never seen anyone who doesn't fit either description pull this kind of crap in the few years I've been working there now. I used to do a little acoustic guitar act at a nicer upscale restaurant my girlfriend at the time waitressed at. I would come in and play quietly in the corner for the brunch buffet special every Sunday. My girlfriend had mentioned this customer before, but I never understood until I saw this little middle-aged woman who weighed maybe 90 pounds soaking wet would come in every week for the all-you-can-eat brunch special. She would load up 5 plates at a time, and before you knew it they were all empty and she was on her way to the bathroom. After almost 15 plates each Sunday they eventually had to ban her. So sad. Worked at a place, so many stories. The one that stood out for me were the 2 kids who decided it would be a great idea to make huge castles out of mashed potato directly on the table while their parents looked on. I hope they at least had the common courtesy of making a gravy moat. I realize that Russian holiday people will just take plates full of food and leave half full plates lying to rot, probably to show off their wealth. Heck yeah, paid $12 for this buffet and only ate $8 worth. Bow before my display of wealth, punes. Worked breakfast buffet at a local hotel. We had these bakayaf breads that the guests could cut slices from themselves. Once a very big man walked to the bread section and grabbed a whole bread and then sat down and ate it without butter or anything, holding it with his bare hands. I wasn't even shocked. I was on a cruise ship holiday. This really fat woman that was really struggling with her movement packed her plate to the fullest at breakfast. When she tried to put another piece of bread on there, it fell off the plate, on the floor. Being the athletic girl, you can only imagine her robotic movement when she kicked the bread under the buffet table to hide her gluttony. Had some real slapstick humor to it. A long time ago I worked at a restaurant where they had an all-you-can-eat Sunday roast for about £10. One guy came in every week and filled several large plastic bags with meat, gravy, veg to save for his midweek meals. I mentioned this to the owner and he said meh. Apparently he still made money on this guy. We used to have the Bulimia lady come in at the end of the day. She would get 2 or 3 plates of food and hover over them with her arms covering her face, shoveling food into her mouth with her hands. She was about 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. She would then go to the bathroom and repeat the process 4 or 5 times. We eventually banned her. There is a casino buffet by my house. Every so often they have a coupon to get gamblers into the casino where they offer $5 admission on Friday crab leg night. Normal price is around $21. I've walked in there before and seen lines that, no joke, honest to God, 4-hour wait to get into the buffet. Now, they typically have crab legs on Tuesdays as well, and while you see your typical displays of gluttony, think chain smoking overweight casino crowd, the worst part is the opportunity cost. If one made minimum wage, it would make more sense to work their minimum wage job and go on Tuesday night instead of waiting 4+ hours in line for $5 all you can eat crab legs. Never made sense to me. But then again, this is the casino crowd we're talking about. On a hilarious note, my mom is an emerald card holder at the casino, which means we are allowed to bypass a buffet line. Well, she met me there for dinner, and just to spite everyone I asked to go to the buffet. People were freaking pee when we got to bypass the entire 4-hour line and be seated immediately. They reserve a table for Emerald members. Make more sense to work their minimum wage job and go on Tuesday night instead of waiting 4+ hours in line for $5 all you can eat crab legs. Like you said, this isn't the smartest crowd. Plus people lose their minds over a discount. In China, whenever I've been, it's been just absolutely packed with the typical seafood stacking, but most of the locals will just stay in the area, hide in the washroom for a bit, then come back out for round 2. Hard to use a washroom in those places since everyone's trying to get the food to come out of either end to put more in. I used to be an assistant manager at a popular buffet restaurant. Sundays would be insanely busy as church let out and people came in hordes for lunch, all dressed in their Sunday church best. Many of the women would have huge, ornate hats which matched their fancy dresses. On occasion, I would become aware of a woman taking food and placing it in the brim of her giant hat to hide it for taking home. Imagine being in a position where it was your job to approach one of these hugely obese women about the food in her hat. I love this question and hope it has responses. My response is not quite there, but one time in Austin, TX, I went to a Pocky Joe's barbecue maybe for the first time, and it was great. But I saw this enormous man devouring an equally enormous mound of barbecued brisket and sides with vigor and enthusiasm. I mean like $50 of meat. I had spent about $12 including a drink, and that's a big meal for a regular guy like me. And I thought, okay, I'm in the right place. And this was the one on Palmer Lane. It's not that great, but it's pretty good. I wrote as much in my Yelp review, and the owner designee or whoever replied and said, "Thank you. We aim to serve all our customers. Yeehaw." This is literally my area. I work at a sushi buffet. I love my job since I always meet cool customers, but sometimes we get customers who will go absolutely insane if I take away their finished plates. Since some sushi items are served in small plates, customers stack the plates into a tower and shamelessly photograph their finished sushi tower and post via social media. Drives me insane every time. Golden Corral employer here, and I believe I've told this story before. Once this big lady started crapping her pants on her way to the bathroom. Crap fell down her legs through her shorts onto the floor in front of the dessert bar. She cleaned herself up and went back to the table and kept eating. I was walking past a bunch of workers standing by the bar and saw something on the floor. I asked the manager, "Is that caramel?" He answered, "No, Cam 890, that's crap." I used to be a cook in a place that served all-you-can-eat breakfasts, and one thing that used to grind on myself and other cooks doing the dreaded breakfast shifts is that you'd get a and you'd always have 2 people who would literally put about 2 kilos of sausages and bacon on their plates, emptying the pots on the gantry, and the next customers would look at the cook like a dickhead. The abuse you'd get because your next batch of food would be 5 minutes away, yet no one ever bats an eyelid at the people in front of them getting obscene amounts of food on tiny plates. It's all you can eat. Take a bit and come back for more. Don't hog it all, you greedy dongs. The abuse you could get at 8:30 AM was unreal, and your disdain for people would grow tremendously. The one and only time I've ever been to an all-you-can-eat, I ate so much Chinese food and ice cream that I puked all over the bathroom floor. I was trapped by puke in the corner of the cubicle and my friend had to pull me out. It was not pretty. You have been visited by the sleeping Italian. Comment sleep tight Lil Guido for nice spaghetti and meatball dreams all night. If you comment, keep fighting. Papa. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.